Wait. Someone doesn't like mathematics. Somebody out there doesn't like mathematics. Well, what are we going to do about him or about her? I hope we'll be able to change that. Okay. Without wasting much of the time, today we are going to be talking about polynomials. Polynomials, polynomials. Two-letter word, poly, many, means many. Yes, back then we were discussing about quadratic expressions, whereby we are saying that quadratic meaning power 2. That was the highest power, power 2. That is where the name quadratic was coming from. So we've got linear, we've got quadratic, and after quadratic, we have got what? Polynomials. Polynomials, number greater than what? Greater than 2. That is what we are going to be dealing with. So just a quick recap by quadratic expressions. Quadratic expressions, and then which led to quadratic what? Equations. So it's first started like y squared plus y minus 12. This is an what? Is an expression. This is an expression. But now, if we introduce an equal sign, it becomes an equation. It becomes an equation. How do we solve this quadratic equation? Well, there are many ways of solving a quadratic equation, but most commonly known, there are two most commonly known: factorizing method and what? By use of the quadratic formula. We are going to make use of both methods today. So we are going to start by what? By factorizing method. How are we factorizing? Also many ways of factorizing, but I'm just going to use a simpler version whereby we are going to find two numbers. What do we mean by saying finding two numbers? We are going to find two numbers such that there has to be a condition. It's not just any two numbers. They are two unique numbers, two special numbers, such that when we multiply these two numbers, they are going to give us minus 12 what? Y squared. Minus 12 y squared. This is going to be the product of the number. And the summation, again, of these two numbers, they are going to give us what? They are going to give us positive 1. They are going to give us this coefficient here. Multiplication will result in us getting minus 12 y squared. It has to come out as it is. And the summation of those two numbers, they are going to give us what? They are going to give us positive 1. Positive 1. So if the condition is met, it means those numbers, they satisfy. But if one of the condition is not met, it means those two numbers, they don't qualify. What am I saying? The two numbers should satisfy two conditions. If I multiply these two numbers, they are going to give me minus 12 y squared. The sign should be there. Even if it gives you 12y squared and the negative sign is not appearing, it means it's wrong. You have to find the two perfect numbers. And if the summation again of the two numbers give me minus 1 is wrong, it has to give me positive 1. Are you with me? Yes. Obviously. Relax. So let us go on by finding the what? The two numbers. So we want to find, so just supposedly minus 12y squared. We have got many numbers that if we multiply, they are going to give us what? Minus 12. We can have 12 and 1. They are going to give us minus 12. We can have 6 and 12. We can have 3 and 4. Yeah, you see, if we have got 6 and minus 2, 6 and minus 2, they are going to result in giving us what? Minus 12. But if we say 6 minus 2, the summation of these numbers, they are not going to give me 1. Immediately, this we are going to cancel. We have got 12 and minus 1. 12 and minus 1, they are going to give me minus 12. But if I do the summation of these two numbers, they are not going to give me They're not going to give me 1. So automatically, we cancel them. They don't satisfy. Which leaves us with what? 4 and minus 3. Yes. 4 and minus 3. If I say 4 multiplied by minus 3 is going to give me what? It's going to give me minus 12. And again, if I perform the summation of these two numbers, it's going to give me what? It's going to give me 1. Then these two numbers, they satisfy the condition. These two numbers, they're a perfect match. In nowadays, we would say that these two numbers are soulmates. Yes, inseparable. They are soulmates in our given situations. These two numbers are deeply in love. Nothing can separate them. Okay, so moving forward, we have found our two what? Our two numbers. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? What are we going to do? We are going, in place of this y, we are going and substitute for it. We are not changing anything. Nothing is being changed. We are just trying to find a way to make the sum favorable. We are just trying to make the sum appealing or good looking. Yes, we are just trying to make it good looking. Just like you are wearing your what? Your suit. You are going to put on a tie just to complete the outfit. That is what we are trying to do. We are not going to change the sum. Never change the sum in mathematics. So what are we going to do here? We are going to say y squared plus 4y minus 3y minus 12 is equals to what? Is equals to 0. If you can see here, we haven't changed anything, because if we do the summation, we say 4y minus 3y, we are just going to get y. Nothing has changed. Nothing has changed. We haven't changed the sum. And then here we are going to factor out y plus what? 4. Here we can see that minus 3 is common here. Minus 3 is also common here. So we factor out minus 3 bracket y plus 4 is equals to 0. And now we can see that y plus 4 is common. Y plus 4 is common. What do? We are going to factor out this y plus 4. We are going to say y. We are going to say y plus 4 bracket. Once we have factored it out, we are going to see that we are going to be left with y and minus 3. We are going to create another bracket, and then we say y minus 3 is equals to 0. Now we can just say either this bracket y plus 4 is equals to 0, or y minus 3 is equals to what? Is equals to 0. Therefore, y is equals to minus 4, or y is equals to positive 3. Y is equals to positive 3. The sum has been what? Has been completed. This is the factorizing. This is the factorizing what? The factorizing method. We have completed one of the methods. You have seen that we were getting y is equals to y is equals to 3, and y is equals to minus what? Y is equals to minus 4. These were the solutions. Let me just write them here so that we don't forget about them. Y is equals to minus 4. So we have used one of the method. Now we want to use the quadratic formula. Yes, the quadratic formula. If we use the quadratic formula, we are also just supposed to arrive at what? At the same answers. But before we use the quadratic formula, we have to understand where the quadratic formula is coming from. We should not just be in a position to just use these things. We should be curious to where they are coming from. So how did we, so now we are just going to derive the quadratic formula very fast. So supposedly we have got the general what? We've got the general equation. The general equation, it goes by y is equals to ax squared plus bx plus what? Plus c. This is the general quadratic equation. General. This is just general quadratic equation. Now here, what are we going to do? We are going to complete the what? The square. What do we mean by completion of the square? Okay, bear with me. I'm going to show you what are we meaning by completion of the what? Of the square. So we are going to be left with y is equals to, here the coefficient of x squared should be 1. The coefficient of x squared should be 1. So here now the coefficient is a. So what are we going to do? We are going to try and make, in fact we are not trying, we are actually making the coefficient what? The coefficient 1. How are we doing so? By factoring out what? By factoring out a. So we are going to say a. After factoring out a, we are going to open the square bracket. This is known as the square bracket. Now I have opened it, I will have to close it again. So after factoring out, I am going to be left with x cubed x squared plus b upon a x plus c upon a, close square bracket. Now the square bracket has been what? The square bracket has been closed. What next? After, you can now see the coefficient here is now what? Is now 1. The coefficient is now 1. What are we also going to do? Now, the simplest way, the easiest way you should understand when completion of the square. Now, pay particular attention. This is where the trick lies. This is where the trick lies. Pay particular attention. We are now going to say y is equals to a bracket x plus b over 2a bracket squared minus b squared over 4a squared plus c over a. This is where the trick lies. This is where the trick lies. Pay particular attention. Just pay attention. What have we done here? We have removed the square, right? And we have now what? This is serious. This is serious. If I multiply this whole thing and add it to this whole thing, I will arrive here. Nothing has changed. I will arrive what? I will arrive here. So, this term here, I have squared it. This one giving me this one, b squared minus 4a squared. Whatever the term you are going to be left with here, you are going to square it and you are going to subtract it outside the what? The bracket. Whatever term you are left with. So here I was having b over a. So if I'm having b over a, this term I have to divide it by 2. Whatever term I am going to be having here, whether it's any term, any number, I'm going to have to divide it by what? By 2. After dividing it by 2, I am going to have to square the whole thing, getting this one. Okay, let us continue. Therefore, this is going to be like what? This one, let us just say equal to 0. The quadratic equation, let us just say equal to 0. Something like this. So, what are we going to do here? Since this is equal to 0, okay, let me just put in the equal sign here. The equal sign here, let me just put it here. Let me just show the same, just for easy understanding, right? Okay, so what am I going to do here? I'm going to divide both sides by a. I'm going to divide here, so this one is going to divide a 0. It's just going to be 0. I'm going to be left with x bracket plus b over 2a, something like this, squared minus b squared over 4a squared plus c over a is equals to 0. Now I'm going to shift all these letters to this what? To this side. I'm going to be left with x plus b over 2a bracket squared, which is equals to b squared over 4a squared minus c over a. Beautiful stuff. Beautiful stuff. Beautiful stuff. Okay. So now, once we have this one, now we are just going to okay, now we can just say the common factor here. The common factor here is 4a squared, right? 4a squared, and then it's going to be b squared minus 4ac is equals to x plus b over 2a bracket squared. Something like this. Beautiful. Beautiful. Something like this. Beautiful. Okay. Now we are going to square both sides. You see, when we are dealing with equations, whatever happens to the left-hand side should also be equal to the right-hand side. We are balancing. It's called balancing the sides. Balancing the sides. So after doing so, we are going to remain with what? With what? With what? After this stage, we are now going to be left with x plus b over 2a is equals to square root plus or minus b squared minus 4ac over 4a squared. Something like this. Something like this. Beautiful stuff. Beautiful. And then we are going to say x is equals to minus b over 2a plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac over 4a squared. Beautiful. Beautiful. And according to the laws of science, they are going to say x is equals to minus b over 2a plus or minus like this, b squared minus 4ac over square root of 4a squared. According to the laws of science. And then we are going to be left with x is equals to minus b over 2a plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. We have common denominator. Now x is equals to minus b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac. Come on, man. Now we have arrived at our quadratic formula. This is the formula that is going to be used to solve the equations that we were having earlier. So let us, without wasting time, let us just use our formula. I think you can see the formula. X is equals to minus b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. By applying this formula, we are going to get the same result. Now this is how we gained our quadratic formula. Nothing to worry, easy step, just completion of the formula. I think on our next video we are going to talk deeper, but now we are going to talk deeply about what? About completion of the square, because it will come in handy. I can assure you, it's a very important concept. It's a very important concept. So let us just, our equation was saying y squared plus y minus 12 is equals to 0. So this one, a here is going to be 1, b is going to be 1, c is going to be minus 12, b, so x is equals to minus 1 plus or minus square root of b squared 1 minus 4a1 c minus 12 over 2a, which is 1. And now we are going to be saying x is equals to minus 1 plus or minus square root of this one is equals to what? 49. That's 49 over 2. And then square root of 49 is 7. So x is equal to minus 1 plus or minus 7 over 2. If we are going to say minus 1 minus 7, it is going to be minus 8. Minus 8 divided by 2 minus 4. We are going to say minus 1 plus 7 goes to 6 divided by 2. X is equals to what? Is equals to 3. Same answer. Nothing has changed. Same answer. Same answer.